Hello friends, welcome to valuetrainings.com. We all are here for SOAPUI, but before working on SOAPUI, you should know the concept of web services. So let us start with the very first topic for today is what is a web service, how it is related to our websites, how it is related to SOAPUI and some of the few examples of web services. So let's start. Okay, the concept of web service I'll explain you with the help of diagram. Let's say if two of the applications wants to communicate. Let's say if this is application 1 and it is based on Java, and the application 2 if it is based on Perl or any other language, say if it is Ruby, and both of the applications wants to communicate. Communication here means what? Communication here means they both wants to share some data. So how is this communication is possible? How they both are communicating with each other? This is a very important thing, right? Because this first application is based on Java and the other application is not based on the same language. It is based on some other language, but still they both are communicating. So what is working behind the scenes? Actually, the concept we call it as web service. Okay, so what I can say for the web service, it means it's a way to communicate to different applications based on different languages. Or one more thing, if I'm saying different languages, or I can also say which are based on different platforms. Okay, so the word which suits to the concept of web service is the interoperability. Interoperability means what? Interoperability means two or the different application which are not based on the same language or which are not working on the same platform are still communicating, still sharing some data. So the concept is this. So this is a very simple definition. So the actual definition for the web service, it's a collection of open standards and some architecture or protocols. The concept of all of these we are going to cover in very detail, but this is a very first lecture. Okay, so it's very I'm just giving you the very simple example in a very simple words. I'm just speaking what is a web service. Okay, so this is all about the web service. So now if I take the example, real-time example, let's say if I open makemytrip.com and here, okay, so this is the graphical interface for the Make My Trip, and let's say if okay, it's giving me from the Delhi to Goa on this date, one passenger. Okay, let's see what I'll get. If I search for the flights, I'll get many options to select. Right, I am getting many options to select which flight I can select. Right, so what if I relate the same thing with the concept of web service, how I can say, let's say, okay, here I'll explain you with the help of diagram the same thing for the Make My Trip. As an end user, what I did, I just opened the browser and write makemytrip.com, and within this, as I'll get many options to write the parameters from which city you want to travel, to which city, on which date, at which time, right? So I'm getting all these options to select. So these are the parameters which as an end user I am passing. And what I'm doing, I'm just selecting the search option. So what I'll get, I'm just going to pass the same request to all the vendors. So these all are what? These all are the vendors as Make My Trip with which it is connected. Let's say if it's vendor 1, if it's a vendor 2, or many vendors, let's say it have. Okay, so I am just passing the same request, the same parameters to all the vendors, and what I did get back, if you see here, I am getting back the options from which I can select which flight from which vendor I want to travel. Okay, So here I'll write I am passing the same request to all the vendors, but I am not getting the same response back. I'm just getting, let's say if out of 3 vendors, I'm just getting back the response from 2 vendors. Let's say if it is the response by vendor 1 and the response by vendor 3. So what I can say? I can say the same request I am passing, and as within the same request, what does it mean? Same parameters I am passing, and the response I am getting back from those vendors who did satisfy the conditions which I do want. Right? So out of vendor 1 and vendor 3, I can select one vendor and then choose if I want to go or not. So this is actually doing what? This is only the concept of nothing but a web service. So here I can say the complete thing is web service. Understood? So this is the how it is related to my real-time examples and how it is actually working. Right? So one more thing over here, you can see in between the, just a minute here. So in between the browser as an end user, and this is what all the vendors, I can say this is the third party, or I can say this is the server from where I am getting back the response. Right? So one more thing I can write here for the case of the web services. If it is the browser, if it is the server, as from the browser, I am just sending the, and let's say if it's browser, it is server. From the browser, I am sending something, and what I am sending? Nothing but the request. Right? So this is the request, and surely I'm going to get back something from the server, and that is nothing but the response. Right? So this is the browser where end user is sitting, and this is the server. So all this complication is actually nothing but a web service. And if I want to test, now let's see how it is related to SOAPUI. If I want to test means what? If I want to check how the request I am passing and how the response I am getting, with the help of which protocols, as if you see the real definition for the web services collection of standards and the architecture which we will see. So how, in which language, how it's possible to communicate, how it's possible to pass the data, these all things we are going to cover. In which language, with the help of which protocol, we will cover in the coming sessions. Okay. So this is nothing but the concept of web service, and when I want to test it, when I want to check it with the help of SOAPUI tool, then I'll say I am testing the web service. I am checking, I am verifying the web service. With the help of SOAPUI tool. So this is, we can say it is web service testing, or it's a SOAPUI testing. So this is the very important thing, the very easy thing, examples. Okay, one thing is left, future of web service. And okay, what do you think? What is the future? See, the future is very bright in the web services, because this is the example which I did explain about the Make My Trip it's one of the example. We have millions of examples like this. We have millions of websites, not only the websites. Say if you are looking for SOAPUI training and you just search for SOAPUI training, what you are getting multiple options to select. Let's say if I open this, any one of the link, if you open, you are getting some response. You are sending the request and getting back the response. So this complete thing is nothing but the web service only. Okay, as I'm sending the request and getting back the response. So the future is very bright. You can go for it and it will help you a lot. So this is all about the today's session. Rest will meet.